All right,
Yeah.
we're here today to do post-traumatic slave syndrome and a minute and a host of other things that he's going to touch on. That's the first question.
Yeah. All right, Black.
In the past weeks,
Uh-huh.
on the table, they've been talking about if the black man could be the devil, right? And they said that he can only be the devil's advocate. So I want to know your take on it.
It said now what again now?
Yeah. They've been arguing about, can the black man be the devil?
Uh-huh.
And they said, no, he can't because he can only be his advocate.
He can only be the devil's advocate because after being stripped of a thorough knowledge of self, he's going to act like his slave master.
Right, yeah.
So he can be the devil's advocate. That's not saying the black man won't do no evil.
Right. So basically that means that by nature he's trained. He might be trained that way by nature. You can train a cat, you see what I'm saying, to swim, and and a dog to climb a tree. It don't necessarily mean it's the original origin of the nature. So, that particular concept and all, for the mere fact that we have been here for almost 400 years and still haven't committed the atrocities against the Europeans as they did for us, let us know in actuality that even in our most deepest subconscious mind, we behave different. You see, yeah. So that's one aspect of that. Yeah. Give me some questions. Glad to be back here in Harlem.
I have a question.
Yes, sir, brother.
Yeah.
Considering the topic of being a post-traumatic slave syndrome, what would be the symptoms that we can see in our people on the, outright, as far as that traumatizing effect upon our people?
Or what we can basically see. I mean, you could just, naturally behavior, appearance. I mean, it could be, take for instance, they had this guy that broke in this house last week broke in this house in a black guy, young guy, 24 years old, that went to this white woman, and I think she was 95 years old, and he asked her for some water and then raped her repeatedly, cooked some dinner and all of that. Now, anybody know anything about rape? Rape has a lot to do with power. So after they commit that act, they don't necessarily enjoy it as much more than they do the actual power. But for the mere fact that this guy raped her repeatedly, that means that he was actually turned on. So we've gone down to that particular level of psychological conditioning where you could have these types of things that's going on. I mean, a 95-year-old woman, black or white, I mean, how can you even get turned on? So obviously you're still talking about a form of post-traumatic syndrome, slavery syndrome, that would create this type of monster to do something like that now, and basically it's, the more and more the society gets that we don't have certain cultural laws to guide us, these things happen. Let me give you an example about cultural laws. We're not necessarily talking about the African laws, but we had certain things set up prior to post-slavery. We had certain laws and certain cultural things that we had put together post-slavery, mainly out of segregation, that in so many words, it was a cohesiveness that taught us how to behave. Things that happen, but we talking about 30 years, going there almost 40 years prior to, desegregation, and now these laws are actually breaking down. These cohesive laws that we used to have, not written laws, but certain things we just didn't do based on certain things in the community that was set up that way. Now we're talking about 40 years prior. Those cohesive laws are breaking down every day. We're losing more and more people based on those particular laws. So therefore you would have this type of niggers gone wild. That's right. If you want to say some stuff like that, no.
We had that.
But then, so what we're talking about here is, it goes into the same thing about assimilation. Whereas you would have, W.E.B. Du Bois said, well, you know, we're trying to integrate, but what are we integrating into?
That's right.
You know, this is right before he died, when he really, you know, saw what was going on after years of even thinking that that was a part of it himself, that it's supposed to be this assimilation. But see, what happens here is we are the only people that assimilate. So we're still talking that particular post-slavery traumatic syndrome, but as we go on and on, those particular things that we had set in place was cohesive. Let me give you an example. In the 1970s, it was common for the European, if they wanted to get a certain platform to pass or to be looked on as legitimate, they would make sure that they would get the black community in it. Because we set the moral standard in America at a certain time. They knew that, you know, certain black people gonna do a certain thing with a certain behavior. So that's how powerful our pre-slavery behavioral pattern was, based on segregation. So they understood if we wait about 30 to 40 years with you doing what you want to do, that all that cohesive behavior that was standard of great common sense behavior would erode. And as a result, you got this straight up the animal level that is going on this particular, you know. And so in so many words, what we had as in the particular aspect from 1865 to 1975 was our actual culture. And it was a culture that was birthed out of segregation, but we had a cohesiveness that worked for us. You see, so all of this type of thing, you see, they knew if they was to so-called have us to assimilate, we would be left with nothing. Because all that is eroding. You see what I'm saying? We can notice this now about little children, 2 and 3 years old, that would do certain things that we think is cute, that in my day would violate 4,000 ass whipping codes.
That's right. That's right.
And we think it's cute now. It is nothing now to say to take a little child and they draw back their hand. They could be in the mother, can't even walk, and I've seen them raise back their hand at a grown person. I've seen this happen. And we think these things are cute, so we're giving way to more things that we think is cute and all, is breeding the pathology into these monsters that we're looking at, and this starting from a young child. Whereas in our day, we had strict codes and stuff that you couldn't do certain things, and these things now, we think it's cute. You know what I'm saying? So we can see these types of things that's happening, and this is all a part of the erosion of our cohesive behavioral system that we had put together. Give me some questions right quick.
I have a question. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said you can tell the condition of a people by its women.
Right.
Elaborate more on that.
Well, let me give you an example. What they also mean. Despite the father figure, which the European society focus on, it's all about the father. So they will tell you that in actuality, if the father's not around, you're going to have all these problems. But in actuality, anybody knows, based on matriarchy, that it's based on the sister. The sister is the most powerful aspect when it comes to the children, and the particular aspect is 90% of most people that have certain problems, you can trace that particular aspect you can trace it all the way back to the mother. And even in the society, when they have done, even in the white culture, when they have done studies on mass murderers, most of those mass murderers that they have done studies on, they had some type of breakdown in the family based on the mother. You see what I'm saying? So therefore, we know that this has a lot to do with when Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, no nation can rise as high as his woman. You see what I'm saying? And if she is oppressed on a certain level, then you're going to have a certain amount of aspect of a society going crazy, you know, because in one type of way, desegregation breaks down that matriarchal culture that we did have in a particular aspect. So, you know, it has a lot to do with everything. We'll go back and we'll elaborate on that in a more. Yeah.
Dealing the post-traumatic slave syndrome dealing, how does that tie into the pimp game and the prostitution?
The pimp game.
Pimp game and prostitution.
Yeah. Basically, those are structures that actually you would have a certain amount of things that would come out of that post-traumatic slavery syndrome, and that is one of the examples of those particular things that actually came out of that. In that particular aspect. It's just, I mean, it's just thousands of things. It's thousands of things that come out of that same aspect, and that's just one of them. You know, that's just one of them on that particular aspect. But now we're glorifying it.
Sure.
We're glorifying it. Like they even had a special on TV, whereas half the rappers and stuff is glorifying this particular aspect of the whole pimp game thing. You see what I'm saying?
The real man goes out and he makes his own money.
You see, but we also too, we know that they are promoting cultures to breed a brother getting locked down. That's the mystery, because we do know that in actuality, just like in Texas, they have locked up so many brothers in Texas until now they're starting to lock up the sisters. Why is this? Because we're talking about billion-dollar industries based on that and all, you see. So that would have something to do with it. Give me some questions.
Questions, anybody?
Yeah.
Based on all the integration going on, how can you tell if someone has a soul?
Like the white man or anybody?
Yeah, like anybody.
I don't even think that's really important in any particular aspect, because you really can't. I mean, the behavior is so bad on the earth plane now, until in actuality, we could all lump it into the one aspect, but we do know that in the long run, there will be a great separation. Like, take for instance, they just had this movie, Fahrenheit 9/11 just came. Anybody saw the movie?
Yes, sir.
Now, on one hand, we know that if Michael Moore, if the government didn't want him to put the movie out, he wouldn't have put it out.
That's right.
He would have been bumped off a long time, but they'd have killed him into making it. But that's the first aspect. But let's look at this. For the mere fact that he's even forced to put out that movie, we're looking at a major change. We're looking at something that behind the scenes is going on, where the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, you will know the end when there's infighting amongst the elite. So for the mere fact that they got this infighting going on, there's something major happening. You see what I'm saying? Like how some of those soldiers might not ever come out of Iraq. Now they just so-called handed over reins to the government, 2 weeks ago, they gave them this thing back. But Wednesday or Thursday, they killed a governor of Mogul, a certain province of Mogul, and all. That's real major. So what you're talking about here, you're talking about them biting off more than they can handle. Now, 90% of the armed forces is either in Afghanistan or Iraq. You see? Even in Afghanistan or Iraq, that's major. 90% of the forces. And they're still over there, and they're saying that they might have to be over there for 4 years. So you're still talking about the beginning of a breakdown of a so-called country that they didn't learn from Vietnam. It doesn't matter about how much might you say you might have. You just can't go up in everybody's countries and have victory. As a matter of fact, they haven't won anything basically this century. The first 2 wars were family fights, but they lost Korea. They lost Vietnam. They didn't win Japan. They had to drop a bomb on them. You see what I'm saying? So for the mere fact that they make this propaganda and tell you they won, doesn't necessarily mean they won. So in so many words, they didn't learn from the mistakes that you can't win wars because there's something greater that goes on. You see what I'm saying? That goes on, and they can't do this. So therefore, we talk about the ending of a society where they might not be able to even come out of Iraq, period.
That's right.
And that's major. You see, that's major. You see, so it's a lot of things, but still yet, Despite that, this thing is still, don't let nobody fool you. This thing is still about us in this country.
That's right.
That's the great mystery. Like, take for instance, how is it that them, when you see dialysis, they got thousands of black people on dialysis now. You go to a dialysis thing, it's like a football field. The mystery here is that they are actually shutting down the kidneys when people go to the hospital. They have the type of technology to go in and shut down your kidneys. This is long before you even have kidney problems. You see what I'm saying? They are actually shutting down the kidneys because this big business in dialysis.
That is the same thing with the asthma thing about our young children with the asthma.
Yeah, all of this. Not only that, too, they're talking about 50% of kids the age of 10, 11, and 12 with high blood pressure.
Look at that. High blood pressure. You talking about asthma.
High blood pressure at age 10.
Yeah, but they don't play no ball. They don't do nothing.
And all, but my point here is, even if they never did, it never did. The whole concept of, and this is all black kids.
Right,
Hell, this is all black kids.
We got child
You see what I'm
asthma
saying?
inside
The
that-
white kids ain't getting it. Hell, they sitting in front of a computer screen. They're not coming down with it.
They said the roaches and
You see what I'm saying? They're not coming down with it. You see, we talking about 50% of high blood pressure with a child 10. You see, you got to ask yourself these questions. Now, when I was growing up, only way you got diabetes, you was born with it. Then all of a sudden in the 1980s, you started getting it by being overweight. Well, what about the people? So you see what I'm saying? This type 2 diabetes. This is all ingested. This is all an inception. This is all orchestrated. You see, we talking about designer disease or designer malfunctions. What's that, brother? Designer malfunctions. Give me some more questions right quick.
Any more questions? Anybody?
Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
I ain't got no questions, more statement. I'm just glad to see you, man, because I ain't
Yeah.
seen you in like 15, 16
Yeah,
years.
yeah, man, yeah.
Down in AUC.
Yeah, right, brother.
You know, I just got to say about the brother, man. He just read the newspaper, read a couple of magazines last week and decided he's going to get out here and do it. You know, as long as I've been doing it, 20 years, 18 years now,
Yeah.
he's dropping out trying to educate himself.
Yeah, it's all good.
Came down to the AUC, Morehouse, and
Yeah,
stuff.
okay, yeah, yes.
He kept us on track in terms of
Yeah.
what we really down there for and what we really need to be out there trying
Yeah,
to
this is one of the brothers from back in the day, yeah.
So I'm glad to see you, man.
Yeah, it's good, man. Yeah. It's good,
Anybody
yeah.
else have a question?
Yeah, what's that? Well, number one, Dick Gregory said something. That the asthma is coming from dehydration. Most of this is we don't get enough water. Now, melanin and water goes together, you know, in the alchemical aspect. That's why most of our civilizations birth through some type of waterways, some type of rivers. Water and melanin goes. So a lot of the time and Dick Gregory talked about this, that most of the asthma we're talking about is based on dehydration. Now, then you got to ask this particular question here. 90% of processed foods dehydrate you,
all that sodium.
which is sodium. You see what I'm saying? Dehydrate you. Even in stuff that's not salty, just got salt in it. Even some sugar products.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So we're talking about basic, that's this basic diet, that it's dehydration. You see what I'm saying? We don't get enough water. One of the concepts, we don't get enough water. You see, let me give you some other examples. The book, The Matrix, the big thick books that came out, in the early 90s, Val Valerian. And this is something that happened to me recently. They said in those books that you think the TV sets are bad now, and this was 10 years ago. They said wait until the 1990s come, no, they wait until the 2000 come. What they're going to put in the TV sets are going to be devastating. Now, around 1998, 99, they came out with high definition TV. Right. Now, that technology now is going down to just a regular, any TV you get is that high definition past 2000. What this thing does is this. It scrambles the brain. These TVs are directly designed to attack the pineal pituitary gland. You see what I'm saying? So we're talking about that type of technology. A brother came from Philadelphia, a good friend of mine, bought me a widescreen TV. Said, nah, man, you got to get rid of this 19-inch. Bought me a widescreen TV, and within a week of watching it, my left eye started getting red. One day I can see, one day I can't out of the eye. I'm saying, wait, hold on. If my sight is going bad, number one, it wouldn't go bad in one eye, and number one, why is it good one day and I can't see the next day? It had nothing to do with my eyes. It has something to do with the scrambling of the pineal gland and pituitary gland, which is connected, you see what I'm saying, to sight. So in actuality, it was an inner aspect that was going on. And so the high definition TV, that's why right now, if you got any TVs from 2000 on up, never watch them in the dark.
That's right.
And make sure there's a certain amount of light in the room. And based on how wide the screen is, if it's a big screen, make sure that you got a certain amount of length between you and where you're sitting and that actual TV, because this is war against the pineal technology. And so what this is doing here is keeping people still in a zombified state. Now let me give you another example. A brother, and some of you might have heard this on the tapes, that in the mid-1990s, brother went to McDonald's and bought a McDonald's fish sandwich. And he noticed that his lip became numb, his tongue became numb when he bought the McDonald's fish sandwich. And he understood that it was the same equivalence to when you take cocaine and put on your tongue is the same effect he got from McDonald's fish sandwich.
Hydrochloride?
So what's happening here is, we asked this particular question, especially about crack cocaine. It was almost like some of these people took this thing for the first time and got hooked. Maybe they was predisposed to the cocaine based on the fast food. See what I'm saying? Now this is a mystery. Obviously they're trying to get another hit, because recently I went to a McDonald's and bought a fish sandwich in the black community. Bought one in the white community, didn't have this. In the black community, this was a month ago, tongue got numb and lip got numb.
So they pumping the fish with hydrochloride?
No, cocaine, man.
Itself, cocaine.
Some type of cocaine, some predisposed thing that will get you hooked on something else. Now we know that this is another run, because we remember in most of the reports of the LA riots, they said that how did the gang members get a lot of their guns? They said they just went down to the railroad track, and there was just box cars that they would wide open, and they would just go to the railroad track, and the government would take these box cars and pull them up, and they'd have all these M16 and all these guns. Now listen, recently now in Atlanta, within the last month, they got guys that's going down to the railroad tracks, and every night there's a boxcar full of guns. But then again, on the other hand, they got this one black McDonald's in the neighborhood, in the major part of the city, that's also selling these products with a cocaine base. So in so many words, they're trying to start this whole dope thing back up. You see, for the new generation of people coming out of high school or whatever type thing. You see, so we're still talking about major warfare. So I say that about the doom and gloom to tell you this. Despite them being all over the world with all the wars, there's something that is going down with us that the major powers know at this particular time right now that they're focused on. So no matter what you do and no matter what you're thinking with Iraq and all the other stuff that's going on about here, it's still about what's going on with us at this particular time, despite the behavior of black people, which is insane.
That's right.
Which is insane. We are the messianic people.
That's right.
You see what I'm saying? And there's a lot of groups that's jealous of that.
That's right.
You see what I'm saying? So, to divert the attention to Iraq and somewhere away from you means that you are really under attack at this particular time. And as a result, last Friday they just passed the last act of the Patriot Bill.
That's right.
That's the Patriot Bill. So in so many words, we're talking about us being the terrorists. Us being the terrorists. You see what I'm saying? And people across the country, especially black men in high school, are getting charged for terrorist threats. Just by arguing in high school, that's not considered a terrorist threat. So we're still talking about, the focus is still us, fight what we think. Give me some questions right quick.
Mm-hmm. When you look at black youth today, you say that we have devolved, man? Devoluted? What you were saying?
Listen to me. First of all, look. Bill Cosby spoke out a week ago, 2 weeks ago. Now, despite what you might think, he ain't said nothing that wasn't on most black people's minds. See what I'm saying? I think that in so many words, we're talking about the only way that you could even have, things based on the youth is still designed by the greater government. So it's going to always be the greater government that's going to set the tone for that. You see, so that's still designed by the greater government in the particular aspect of taking people to a certain level of savagery and stuff like that. So yes, but in so many words, the youth, whatever it is, it's going to be set. The pattern is going to be set by what the government has in store for them. It's in the next whatever. You see what I'm saying? And that's based on the parent, whether it's going to be an effect or whatever the thing. Give me some questions right quick.
Anybody out here in the audience? Hold on, Cam. Anybody out here?
Yeah.
And what is the real reason why they wanted to enslave black people? Because it seems there's always something else other than just labor.
Good question. Good question.
The real reason is this, and this is the bottom line. There's several ancient texts that understand certain things. Remember now, they study our ancient texts. They study our ancient texts night and day. Just last year alone, there was 20,000 research situations on melanin alone on the internet. 20,000. And the next year, it changes every year. So despite what we're thinking, they're still studying some stuff, but I'm gonna get to the ancient part of what's going on. Now, cause see, you have people like Tony Brown's Journal, if it still comes on. They paid this Negro, and it's the new thing to say that there is no difference between the races. But yet, there's 20,000 research manuals alone on melanin alone just last year, and each year it changes. So my point here is we're talking about major research that they know that they're pinpointing something of the people that they have found out that's going to be the next jump into the next phase of evolution. That's coming up out of us, despite what we think. Now, there's a guy, did you ever get Eugene Adams? No. There's a guy, you're going to be able to get it. Eugene Adams is a guy that wrote, did a tape on the African presence in Asia, where they had located a temple in Asia where they foretold slavery for thousands of years. And based on the slavery in this temple in China, that the messianic people coming up out of that slavery would be us. And this is what the ancient temple in Asia. And so we had a real bad tape. We had to locate this brother out of the Bronx, but we finally got access to the tape. That's one incident. There's other major texts that they have been studying over the years that tell us, and I have got some of these texts, that we are those particular people. In the aspect that certain groups, like the Jews or whatever, is jealous of that and trying to counter this by trying to make themselves the people of suffering. So we even have a people that's trying to counter that and to set themselves up as these suffering people. When we know damn well we on the bottom right now, so that goes without saying.
For sure.
But in so many words, what that means is that they have slated the person slated for the next level of evolution. You say, well, how can you say that? Look at these niggas around here, they act like they're crazy.
Yes, sir.
But you must understand the process of someone evolving. In order for you to evolve, new growth comes from putrefaction. It comes from degeneration. In order to rise, it has to be a fall. So even in scientific terminologies, if you have a people that slate is wiped out of culture, customs, and history, all right, and you have a people that slate is wiped out of all of those things, then that means that that particular person is empty in the particular aspect of the new state of evolution. It goes like this. If your sight is lost, your hearing becomes better. If your hearing is lost, your sight becomes better. You see what I'm saying? So if your brain is lost, there's a new aspect of a new brain taking over, which is called the pineal brain. The pineal is a second brain. And so the people that are slated for the new aspect of evolution, because this particular word has literally been cleared away. That means that you are the messianic people. Number one, because you're the original people. So you can just go historical on that.
That's right.
You know, we don't even have to even argue on that stuff.
Right.
And remember, even in the movie the X-Men, especially the first one, where they talk about this evolution, they said there's a new mutation that's coming, but it takes a long time. It takes a process. So the only people that was around long enough to transmutate was the people that was here for millions of years. That just makes sense. You see, if you're going to transmutate, you would have to have been on the airplane for thousands and thousands and millions of years for the mutation process or the transmutation type process to take place. That is us. You see what I'm saying? So that's why all over the world, they're wiping out the Africans. That's right. You see, that is one of the reasons. But the concept here is the messianic aspect has to take place, and it's taking place as we speak.
Buddha will be born
amongst us. It is taking place as we speak. Go back and get that movie Unbreakable. The movie Unbreakable shows you that there's transmutation. Now, some of you might have this thing right now. Sometime, and you could, how many people have cut themselves? You know, you had an accident, you cut yourself, and about 2 days later, it started to heal up miraculously. This is happening. That is because there's already a transmutation going on amongst our people. But we don't know it for the simple fact that they have our minds on other things. But it is happening as we speak. Give me some questions. What's that, sister?
It's about slavery.
Yeah.
I was reading one of the tapes of the feminization of the black male.
That's mine.
A feminization of the black male.
Uh-huh.
That has that tape. And the brother was saying that if we don't know what slavery is, how do we know we're not still in it, you know?
Right.
And I thought that was very interesting, and I started thinking about the 13th Amendment,
Right.
which states that, you know, when you go to prison, you are in fact a slave.
Yeah.
And the fact that all of our male youth and children
Yeah.
are being incarcerated now,
Right.
which makes them slaves.
Yeah.
And once they're taken away from us,
Well, number one, we are slaves in the aspect even on a legal level, because the Bank of England buys all of our birth certificates at birth. So we are slaves based on that. First of all, and I'm going to talk about this tomorrow. There was never no such thing as no independence, war of independence, or no revolutionary war. Ain't no 10 white people with no shoes on beat no British Empire. It's bullshit. We are still a part of England. I want to ask you a question. How did we have an independence from England, or they had an independence from England, when our court system is still set up under British law?
That's right. That's right. Come on with that.
You see what I'm saying?
Come on with that.
Our court system is still set up under Britain. Our educational system is still set up under Britain.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? Let me give you an example.
Help somebody.
3 things in this country. Number 1, the Supreme Court. Once you are appointed to be a Supreme Court justice, nothing can get you out of that seat, no president or nothing. That's your job for life. Okay? Until you resign or die. The second thing is, no matter what presidents are in that seat, the people in Wall Street never change. Alan Greenspan's job is going to be there, whether it's a Bush or Clinton or whoever.
That's right.
You understand where I'm coming from? The second thing is this, to let you know that we are living in a penal colony, because our birth certificate, your birth certificate is your serial number for the penal colony.
That's right.
If you don't believe that, have a child and don't get a birth certificate and see what kind of trouble you get into.
That's right.
Now, the second thing is this. The only other job where once they appoint you, that job is yours for life is prison warden. The only way you can do that is either resign, or the president or nobody can get you out of that job, because that's all appointed by England. You see, so this whole concept here is a penal colony.
That's right.
Even right now, you think you free because you can walk about and buy shit. If you don't consume, you don't count.
That's right.
You are the enemy. Right now, even with our people, we are now on mind control. When the less our people consume and buy things, the more we look down on them.
That's right.
So, who's to say that this is not slavery? Someone that's telling you that your religion is consumerism.
That's right.
You see, if you don't buy, you don't count. And since the 2000s, if you don't have no money in this country, you're not even considered human. You're considered animal. You see, what's that, brother?
Hey, Bobby, isn't it true that the black economy in America spends $700 billion a year in this country? It's the 5th largest economy in the world.
Behind Spain.
We are the poorest motherfuckers on
Right.
the
So,
planet.
so apparently,
$700 billion of
but still, we're talking about a form of slavery.
That's right.
You see, a form of slavery. So you are right. Listen, in the occult technology of power, which is Illuminati handbook, and you can still get these things here. They sell them over here at Soul Brothers Boutique. Have a few of them. Occult technology of power. It says in order to put a people in slavery, only thing you got to do is tell them that they are free.
That's right.
You see.
That's right.
So as soon as you tell a person they're free, you can put them in slavery. As soon as you tell a person that they are educated and give them a degree, you can fool them into thinking that they're educated.
That's right.
And education in this country is not allowed.
Right.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
think it's not allowed.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So education is not allowed. So yeah, that's a form of slavery. Yeah,
I want you to speak to the people about the fact that constitutional law states that any descendant of the slave is not a citizen. Because our people think that they're American.
Can't hear you, sister.
Yeah, yeah. What it is this. In so many words, we was let out of servitude slavery, 1865, but they never did any ceremony to induct us into citizenship. We're not citizens.
We're not citizens.
We're not citizens.
Negroes need to stop saying
You see.
Stop using the term African American. There's no
Yeah.
such
There's no
thing.
such animal.
Yeah. So we're not citizens. Number one, also too, even Whoopi Goldberg said this, and she was right. When we bought the African American term, we cut out all of the Caribbean,
Right.
all of South America,
Right.
all of Latin America, all of Africa. And this is another way to reclassify you, you see what I'm saying, outside of power. So,
to disconnect you from
right. So the concept here is when you say that, that's a political move that was put in by the government to break you down to this subclass, you see, and not be a world community. And my point here is you're still a world community. I can see if you chose to come over here, then a person can say, well, since you chose to come over here, you're not necessarily, some Europeans can't say that they are part of Europe because they chose to come over here. But a person who didn't choose to come over here, that means that you're a part of a greater global community. Because that means you are, whether you are hostage or whatever, you're still a part of a greater global community. So to call you an African American is to disconnect you from that global community and that great diaspora that we was talking about. So that's a political move, especially when you didn't ask to come over here.
Is that also part of the reason why they won't allow you to get dual citizenship and be repatriatized to Africa? That part because they actually give you a problem
it's all of that, all of that. Yeah, what's that?
Are we the true Native Americans?
Yes, in the aspect of this. Now come on. The average Native American was this brother's complexion at the turn of the century. Now when you say Native American, it's some white person with a feather in his hair. So how in
blue eyes.
So how in 100 years you can become to be a white person with a feather in the hair, and the average Native American was your color. And all you got to do is just look at all the pictures from the turn of the century. We're talking about the 1900s.
What about my hair? What about the hair texture?
Well, see, all of that. See, there's a whole concept here, too, is they want to say that they came by way of Asia and the whole Bering Straits thing. That is to omit the Olmecs.
That's right. I've heard that.
Where did the Olmecs go? What is the Olmec culture? What is the base stock of humans in this hemisphere? It was Olmec. You see what I'm saying? It was Olmec. So most definitely.
So a lot of us didn't come from Africa.
No. We have a variation of history. Some of us did, but no. To lump all of us in as African American in the particular aspect of to say African American is a falsehood. In the particular aspect of two things. Number one, all Africans who came here were not just West Africa.
That's right.
That's another trick.
That's right.
So you saying we was here before the white man got here?
Yes, definitely. Well, how would you constitute? How would you constitute the Olmecs? How would right, and Blackfoot. You see what I'm saying? So no, that's another history. That's another history that we were here, and the whole concept of not only us. So that whole African American thing is to omit. You see the indigenous black man of this particular land too. What's that?
Hey Bobby, can you talk about the white man today with his technology and how he's trying to stop the transformation of the opening of the pineal gland by polluting the atmosphere, the very rays, the cold?
Well, they're doing several things. It's more than one front. Like I just said again, high definition TV.
Right.
It's right in the TV sets. Now they talk about this stuff that scrambles the pineal and pituitary gland. That's one particular way. You know, the food, the diet, the atmosphere, the weather, and also too, one of the keys is dehydration. Let me give you an example. There was a movie came out called Cabin Fever. Go rent the movie Cabin Fever. Just came out, it was the first of the year. It just newly came on video about a month ago, 2 months ago. And this movie is about this disease that these people had. One guy fell in the water supply and everybody started getting this disease. Just to make a long story short, at the end of the movie, where they send the message, there was this disease in this small town, but it was near a mountain and a stream of water that was contaminated with this disease. And the next thing you know, the last thing you see in the movie is a big truck leaving the town to go to the city to say spring water. So don't let nobody fool you. For them to put that in the movie, that means you got to watch out for the spring water in the future. You see? So we talking about that. So they send us messages all the time.
Bobby?
Yeah.
want you to touch on one thing. One thing that I include in when I am speaking to a lot of brothers out here is about this religion and white savior thing. Where
Yes.
where religion alone is not going to cultivate the spirit for elevation.
Right.
Yes.
You know?
First of all, to give you an example, we just went to go see Fahrenheit 9/11. A lot of brothers and sisters that was dead was coming up saying, "Oh man, did you see this movie? Fahrenheit 9/11, it's all great." And we looking at him like, "Are you crazy? We've been telling you this shit for the last 10 years.
Yes, sir.
But they had to wait till the Europeans say that this country is fucked up for them to deal with it, because when the origin of that still has to go back to that messianic image of a European savior. And that's embedded into the psychological aspect. You see, that's embedded into the psychological aspect, so that is major. That is major when it comes to Brother Big Man. Yeah. Yeah. That is major when it comes to us. As a matter of fact, we can say that the basis on why we don't learn anything is because we feel that we are getting nourishment from something that is already given to us.
That's right.
Based on this damn religion.
That's right.
So if you feel that in actuality that your religion is the universal truth and your God is the universal savior, then therefore it will deter you or prevent you from looking farther into greater mysteries and even knowledge of trying to learn a better aspect about yourself. So we're talking about an even greater grip on this whole religious aspect.
Bobby, real quick, can you address can you address the government orchestrated personality that our people are displaying called a thug?
Go ahead.
I really would like to hear that addressed, because
Yeah.
we got a lot of thugs walking
Right.
around, and it speaks
Right.
to the fact that we have sheeple and not
Right.
people anymore.
Right. Yes. That's what Bill Cosby was actually saying. See, you can't get, because Bill Cosby makes millions of dollars, does that mean he's supposed to sit back and co-sign on a bunch of niggas acting like fools? He was right. And he wasn't saying no more than most black people in their community was saying about how fucked up these Negroes are out here. You see what I'm saying? Like he said, your dirty laundry get aired at 2:30 when they get out of school. So you see what I'm saying? So in so many words, he's right. That's a manufactured aspect of the whole thug life thing. It's a manufactured aspect so bad until around the world, based on satellite TV and based on the images that the only one they're gonna ever let the people see outside of America, is so bad until the people in other countries actually think that that's our culture, is this thugism.
That's right.
The reason why I know, because there was two sisters came over from England in 1998. And when they came over, we was taking them around the regular black people, and they was like, these are bougie niggas. I'm like, wait a minute, you in the middle of the ghetto, what you talking about? But they was looking for what they saw on the fucking videos.
That's right. That's right.
And when they didn't see that, they got upset.
That's it.
These are two sisters from England.
Right.
Because the only thing they see is the same concept of this thug life. And that's a manufactured aspect of it.
That's right.
That's the manufactured aspect of it all. And so the concept here is now you got, see, let me explain something what's going on about the whole thug thing. Now, anybody that grew up prior to the 1980s, they understood when you went to Alabama, you saw a different kind of black person.
Right.
When you went to Philadelphia, the Philadelphia Negro was different than the New York Negro.
Right.
The Washington, D.C. Negro was different than that. You see what I'm saying? We had different type of black people all over the country, which is key, because that's how you learn, by interacting with different type of flavor.
Right, that's right.
Now you can go to Monterey, California,
Come on. Come on.
all white, and you will see black people acting like brothers and sisters from New York. If you go to Alabama now, you will see black people, there is no difference.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So that means you have manufactured a culture,
Right.
and it locks your mind in. The mind is a multifaceted, dimensional thing. That means that it cannot function on a high level with just one monolithic choice. It has to have variations of different types of expressions, different types of experience. So if you want to put a people in slavery, you manufacture the same person all over the country. So the European, as far as the music industry, has chosen the thug life for your children.
That's right. And that's a vehicle
right.
to go
right. Now, one thing about the thug life, no matter how you like it, being intellectually superior is not a great attribute of thug behavior. So therefore, a person can come up on a higher intellect and he can be scorned and vilified in school because he doesn't fit the criteria of a doggone thug. And that's what what's-her-name saying. 50% of you all can't read now. You see, that's a design behavior.
That's right.
You could design a behavior where you could take the lesser repertoire, make it fashionable,
right,
and make a whole culture out of it, and then bring everybody down to the low level.
Right.
And it won't be nothing. So when a person falls, he won't have no counterpart to look at as a model to bring himself up, because they all acting the same damn way.
All black power.
Blind leading the blind.
You see, what's that?
Bobby, I got a friend. We went on the internet. We found this white woman and this white man who said they could create a style.
Exactly.
And black young kids will follow
yes.
without asking no questions. They can make
exactly.
anything they want.
Exactly. Let me give you an example.
They created the white t-shirt thing, where they had half the t-shirt on and the other half off.
Right.
We got the document.
Right.
And sure enough, 3 months later,
right.
niggas was running around here with half their t-shirt on
yeah.
and half their t-shirt off.
Right.
What about the pink?
So we still,
hours later.
yeah. We talking about, yeah. Also get the movie Josie and the Pussycats, came out in 2001.
That's right.
It drops all that in the movie. And you thinking a little stupid white girl movie, they deal with all that.
Right.
And the only one caught on before all of them was the black girl, and they were gonna kill her. So yeah, all of that is right on the money.
Bobby, let's
hold on, black man.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Well, since Tupac started the whole thug-like craze,
yeah.
Talk up, man. Would you say he's to blame, or he's like far
let's put it this way. Let me explain something to you. Let me tell you what happened to Tupac. Remember, Tupac went to prison because of the whatchamacallit. When Death Row got him out, he was going to come back and he wanted to write the next phase of conscious rap after they had actually phased it out after Public Enemy KRS-One. He wanted to go with the next phase of it in the genre that he was dealing with, but a part of his terms of being released from prison is that he had to manufacture the thug thing. So that was a design by the government and the people who were behind the record industry.
Pushing that NWA.
You see what I'm saying? So when he got out, his hands was tied because they told him a part of his release is he got to take this music a certain way, and the thug life was born. Although he had already started it long before he went in, but they really started to manufacture that. And as a matter of fact, and that became standard for all rappers.
That's right. Now it is standard.
That is standard for all rappers.
They can't talk about it.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Go ahead, brother.
Yeah.
Y'all talking about the thugs, but I see that people who go to church,
Yeah.
the religion,
Yeah.
are a problem also.
Well, we're not saying, no. So what we're saying is this here.
No, my question is,
Yeah.
what do you think religion plays a part of people that's mentally enslaved also?
It's devastating. It has always been devastating. As a matter of fact, in the Occult Technology of Power, which is the Illuminati handbook, they said that one thing that they will always have on the side of oppressing people is the religion. So yes, that's not the answer either, and I think it's also spiritual why the government has been trying to take the religion and have it break into rap for years, but it just don't cut it. So on one hand, the thug thing is a problematic, but another thing here is spiritual, that you ain't jumping around talking about, hip hop for Jesus, because it just don't cut it. They've had several people, as a matter of fact, your boy, your boy Mace, that was all a part of him coming out. That was a conspiracy, but the shit didn't work. And it's never gonna work. And I think that's spiritual, it doesn't work. You see what I'm saying? With that indoctrination. So yeah.
Bobby, now, we done covered the hip hop aspect of the thug and the thug, but what about the R&B singers with all this homosexuality and misogyny? You know what I'm saying? And they got our young boys running around with 2 big rocks in their ears, wearing pink, and want to look like a bunch of bitches. What's up with that?
Not only that too, it's not even just R&B. Not even just R&B. They're saying it's major prevalent in the rap industry.
Oh, yes.
Big time.
Oh, yes.
Big time in the rap industry. In so many words, that is the Hollywood way. That is the Hollywood way.
That's right.
As a matter of fact, that is how you are able to amass millions of dollars. Remember that these people ain't gonna give you $20 million to make a movie. You see what I'm saying? Not unless you done slept with somebody. So this thing now is going even on into the music industry. You see what I'm saying? Even on into the music industry, you see, because they cut us off from the classics. You see, there's a whole lot of things going on, yes, so I would say, but that is the European way now, and the way of the Illuminati, because then again, on the other hand, the secret societies, that is their way.
That's their way.
You see what I'm saying? As far as you gotta sleep with this other person. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Yeah, what's that?
In the hip hop, so in the hip hop culture, do you think that there's a lot of undercovers or overt homosexuals in the rap now?
I met a guy in Virginia I met a guy in Virginia that is real active in behind the scenes. He does a lot of the arranging and stuff, and he was saying that the only reason why he decided to stay behind the scenes because it's so prevalent. This thing is almost like a country club. That all of them sleeping with each other. You see.